guest. You guys might recognize him before. I'm almost afraid to go through his whole list of accolades and all his titles, but I'm gonna let you do that. But before I get started, I've been waiting to hear back from Richard. He took a trip to Mexico. You were in the movie. The short was in
Yes, so
a festival.
Yes, so there was a film festival down in Oaxaca,
Right.
and a film that I acted in was accepted into the festival, and so I went down to see the film, meet some people.
We've been waiting. When we last spoke to Richard, I think he was going to head out maybe if not that week, the week after. It was within a 2-week period.
Yeah, it was pretty close to the trip, yeah.
Yeah, so he was going to take off, and I said, as soon as you get back into town, we got to talk about it. I want to know what's going on out there. This is Richard Pluim. He's a actor. Okay, let me try this from the memory without looking down. Actor, director, professor, content creator, editor, and I'm sure you could fill in any other gaps that I missed.
That's good.
All inclusive.
Yes.
Anything film or theater related, this your go-to guy. Okay, I'm just gonna jump straight to it. I just want him to talk about his trip. I want to hear everything from when he got to LAX, passport check, got down there, hotel room, where they were showing. They showed it in a few different theaters also.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah.
Where did they show it? What people were talking about it. So I'm just gonna turn it over to him, and we're just gonna listen in to see what he got to say.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, Oaxaca, Mexico was beautiful. I've never been to Mexico really before. I grew up in Southern California, so I definitely went to Tijuana for like day trips, whatever.
Right.
But I never really went much, like really deep into the country. Never like fully. And Oaxaca is like way south, like almost at the bottom of Mexico.
Okay.
So it was cool to kind of see a very different region and to kind of get into the country and see what's up there.
Mm-hmm.
It was so beautiful. In fact, I intended on when I was going to sort of vlog it, kind of and be like up on my social media game and I'm in Mexico and da. But once I got there, just everything about social media and like all that stuff just sort of flew out the window. just the literal desire. I had my phone with me and I thought, oh, I should Instagram this, whatever thing, and I paused and go, you know what? Like, no, I just want to just be right here. So the flight was smooth. It's actually, funnily enough, it's about the same distance to fly to Oaxaca as it is to fly to Chicago from Los Angeles.
Okay.
Which is, kind of interesting. Like, Chicago doesn't seem like that far of a flight. It's like, okay, it's most of the way across the country. It's not all the way across.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Europe. But when I think Mexico, I think like, oh wow, I'm leaving the country. This is going to be a big trip. But it was about the same distance.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, oh, okay, like, so the world is not as far as it seems like it is.
Right.
So yeah, I met a lot of cool people down at the film festival. I met this dude Steve, who's based in Chicago. He's doing all kinds of content, and then a buddy who we actually got to get to know. So I went along with the director of the film I was in. It was the two of us went down to represent our project. We got to know this dude Alan, who's really a cool guy, a filmmaker, and he's based in Canada. I think in Montreal. I'm pretty sure Montreal. I hope I got that right. He's either lives there or from there. So east side of Canada. It was an awesome time, man.
Wow.
Yes.
I said, and I've heard of what's the film festival that we have here in the mountains?
Sundance. Tell you right.
So that's the only thing that I've known about as far as film festivals. But I know they have them throughout the country, let alone throughout the world. But I never heard of them having one in Mexico. I mean, I had no idea that. I mean, I'm sure they have it, but we're just not aware of it in Los Angeles.
Right. And I hadn't heard of it either. And but they've been doing it for a while now. I'm not sure exactly how many years they've been doing it, but it was cool. And I was surprised to see so many filmmakers from all over the world. So there were a ton from the States. I mentioned the dude I met from Chicago. There were. It's funny. People said that there were a lot of people from Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't meet anyone from Los Angeles. So every time I would meet somebody, I go, oh, I'm in Los Angeles, and they go, oh, there's a lot of people, but I never met any of them.
Right. So you didn't see anybody with the beret and the little...
No, none of that.
And the ascot and none of those people?
No.
Okay.
But yeah, I wasn't sure. I thought it would be maybe our film and a couple others, and then all films, you know, that were shot in Mexico, featuring Mexican actors and directors, and there was a lot of representation of Latin film. But also some European, there were some German films there that I saw, some Irish filmmakers that did really cool stuff. I saw a documentary from an Irish filmmaker, and then this other really cool film that was, it wasn't a narrative, it was originally, I think, a live performance art piece. So something you would see in the museum. So here you would see it at LACMA or at the MoMA or something, like really high art. And so she made a film out of it, a film version out of it, and it was about a 40-minute film that was just all visual. There was no dialogue, and it didn't have a clear narrative. It was just visually very beautiful. Yeah, I couldn't really describe it further than that. It was just, it blew my mind. So there was a lot of representation there at the festival, as far as genre goes and as far as like where the films were made.
Okay, so when you get down there, I guess you check in. They give you a badge of some sort, I guess, saying who you are, yellow, blue, if you can get in or get arrested or whatever.
Right,
so they give you a badge. And then, where do they show these movies? Is it all theaters? Is it stadiums? Like, where do they show the movies?
So they had several venues throughout I guess it's the historic district of Oaxaca, or just sort of the main, I guess it would be the main tourist area. The most, the beautiful churches, cobblestone streets. It really felt like being in Europe, a lot. It was just a little bit warmer and more humid. So throughout this area, I'd say it was about a mile and a half radius,
right,
all the way around. Some theaters were bigger, some were smaller. One was even there's a local college or a medical school, and so we had a big hall there that they lowered the screen for. They were kind of all over the place, which was cool to be able to, see a film and then have to walk a half mile or so, through the town. Distance. Yeah, everything was in walking distance. You can see a series of short films or see a feature film, and then go have lunch, talk to some people, see what's going on in the town, and then go to the next one.
Well, so was the town flooded? I mean, I'm sure it had locals there. Well, were you able to sit down with other actors and other producers and other...
There were, yeah, we did get to, there was a lot of representation from the film. We did get the lanyard badges. Funnily enough, I didn't really wear mine all that much. I feel like...
I love those badges.
I hate those badges.
I wear those badges. I'll be rocking that non-stop.
Oh, really?
I just want to get into everywhere. Like, I got this badge. Move.
No, I was the exact opposite. I feel like when I'm in there, yes, I have the badge. I'm here. Don't throw me out. But like once we leave the venue, it's like it's in my pocket.
Okay.
I don't want to appear any more like a tourist. I don't want people like following me. I just want to enjoy being in the city, in the town, being in Mexico, practicing my Spanish, and then when we're at an event, then I'll put it back on. However, many other people were more like you, and they were rocking it, and so you could see throughout all the yellow badges everywhere.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Wow. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Yeah. I highly recommend going to Oaxaca. There's this little town called Tule nearby, and they have what's called El Árbol del Tule, which is the tree of Tule. And it's this tree that is over 2,000 years old or something like that, and it's huge. Like the trunk of this tree is as big as like a 2-bedroom house in a suburb. Like not like the nicest house, but like a legit like pad.
Wow.
Like it was as big as a house, bigger than most.
Was it just a stump or was the whole tree still
No,
there?
it was the whole tree, and it like expanded super wide.
Wow.
Yeah, I did take a couple pictures of it. I don't want to share them though. I feel like you kind of need to go and see it. Like I'm selling out the tree or something. But,
all right.
But I do want to say one more thing about the festival that I noticed was that most of the people there were obviously directors. And so at a lot of the networking events, I noticed that there wasn't much for the directors to say. It was kind of a stalemate. Like, oh, what have you directed? Oh, I directed this. Oh, what's yours? Okay, I'll see your film screening. You come to mine. Okay, cool.
Okay.
But there wasn't really anything beyond that because like they're both directors.
Right.
So there's not really much to collaborate on. It's kind of the same job title.
Oh, right. Okay.
So, however, I went there as an actor, and so I just played that card, and I had the best time ever because suddenly everybody is somebody that I can work with or
Right.
show my stuff to. So that stalemate didn't exist,
Mm.
and I thought, oh wow, that's so incredible for an actor to go to film festivals. That's, I think, an outstanding way to meet new people, see their work, enjoy seeing a lot of films at once and to talk to the people that made them. But to go, okay, so I like what you do. I want to be a part of your next one. Here's my reel. Here's my stuff. So as an actor, I felt like that was a networking, like,
Yeah,
mecca.
you're marketing yourself. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And to people that are building their careers and that need actors to do their stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
want to work with new faces. And so I thought, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
for
yeah.
a director, you get to pitch and it's really wonderful. But at those events, I'd say if you do something else and you want to work with a director, go to those because it's just directors.
Yeah, 'cause you could be editor, you could be a writer, all kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
directors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, designers. So yeah, if you're looking for directors, go to a film festival. Yeah.
Yeah, a good way to market yourself. I mean,
Totally.
you're literally marketing yourself.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I mean, yeah, usually just the producers and the directors or the investors that go to the film festivals. Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Last time you were here, we touched on a few things, and I've been thinking about it ever since. We talked about someone moving out here, ballpark what they should do. We talked about headshots. We talked about agents. We talked about emails. We talked about relocation. We covered all that in the last time you were here. This time, though, I'm more concerned with the challenges, meaning how does someone get over when they go to an audition? They're shaking, they're trembling, they got the jitters, they're sweaty, their palms, they look like they're coming down with something.
Okay.
Because you're nervous.
Right.
No one talks about that. We'll get you to audition.
Mm-hmm.
You forget your lines. Like, all this stuff happens not because you wanted to, because you're just nervous.
Mm-hmm.
What are things that you do to avoid that situation?
Right. So, number one thing is to be prepared. Be as prepared as possible. Practice the lines, learn the lines, saying them out loud. One big pitfall that actors can make is that they memorize the lines silently in their head,
Mm-hmm.
and then they get to the audition, and that's the first time they hear their voice say it, and so that's an easy trip up for beginning actors. It sounds weird hearing me say it out loud all of a sudden in the audition, but if they had practiced it out loud at home over and over and over and over, learning the lines, hearing them say the lines, that they can avoid that when they're in there.
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing is to know that if you got the audition, they're already interested in you to some degree, whether it's just your look or if they saw your reel, however you got the audition,
Mm-hmm.
they're already interested in you. So the casting director is on your side. They want to cast the role. They want you to be the one so that they can stop auditioning and go to lunch. You know what I mean? So they're not, I guess they are a gatekeeper. They're the ones that get you the job. But they're they want you to succeed. So they're not really an adversary. They're on your side. They want you to do well.
Mm-hmm.
So when you know that, it's like, oh, okay, this is somebody who's rooting for me, not somebody who I have to measure up to.
Oh, there you go.
So
Yeah.
so that kind of helps calm the jitters. Also, there's so much that's out of your hands. I actually just had an audition last week, a few days ago, somewhere, and so I went in, did the audition, and I did this little extra beat, or I did this little extra thing. I can't say what it was, But it would be something like if I had to smile, I just did a little extra, like, yay. It wasn't that, but something like that. Just this a little extra that helped tell the story. Most importantly, it helped tell the story of the scene. And the casting director, they were watching on the monitor as I was auditioning. And as soon as I did that, she said, "Oh my God, I loved that." And she didn't say it to me. She said it to her assistant who was filming, which to me indicated that it was a genuine response.
Right.
You know, people all day will say, "Oh, wow, that was awesome. I loved that. Great, we'll call you." But when it's this true response and it wasn't directed at me, that gave me an indication that it was an authentic response.
Right.
So she said, "Oh, I loved that. That last little beat. Like, did you see that?" And the camera guy goes, "Yeah, yeah." And then they look at me and go, "Okay, thank you." And so I left feeling like, "Oh my God, yes, like killed it. I did my job. I did this extra little thing. She loved it. It was memorable. It set me apart from the pack." And all day I was on cloud 9, and rightfully so. I did my job, and that's all I had to do that day.
Right.
Now, I didn't even get a callback for that. So,
but I'm sure she used it with everyone else. I'm sure they might have pitched that to everyone else that walked in.
She may have.
Or just wait to see if they did.
Right.
That.
I doubt anybody did the thing I did unless
Right.
she told them to.
Right.
No, it was very subtle. And this isn't to toot my own horn, it just was. But what leaves me feeling still very good is that I did my job. I went, I brought my A game. She was authentically impressed with my performance in a moment. And that's it. She will likely remember me and call me back in for another thing that I may be right for. You know, and it could have been a million other things. Like maybe somebody did do something even more awesome. Maybe they're just taller. Maybe they're whatever. They're blonde. They're just somehow different.
Right.
There's so much that you just don't know. You know, maybe for the other role, they had somebody that was so perfect and I was too similar, so they wanted contrast.
That's true.
You know, there are all of these things, and one can obsess over, okay, I want to make sure that I'm this way and that way, and but there's no way to possibly know. So to get caught up in that vicious cycle would be, it just drive me crazy.
And that's what I wanted to talk to you about, is getting caught up in that cycle. So we'll take a break from our sponsors, just so you guys know. If you guys see my nice logo. Bliss Tea and Treats, they're based out of Oceanside. I did a tasting with them almost 2.5 weeks ago. The desserts are going to be speechless. A great place to go, have a meeting, hang out, or just grab your iced tea on your way to the beach, grab a snack on your way home from the beach. A great place. You mentioned something that I kind of want to touch on, whereas when you go to these callbacks, you get judged a lot. Whether you're in the lobby waiting with everyone that kind of looks like you or what have you, and then you actually go in, and then you're judged again. And then whether you get a call back or not, you still feel judged because you didn't get called back. What are your thoughts on that as far as what do you do to just take it on the chin? It's not a big deal. Just brush it off. Don't let it, affect you to that degree.
Yeah. I say one advantage that I have, I guess, with that is that I grew up playing baseball and pretty competitively, and baseball is actually a very negative sport. So if you think about it, a batter that has a 300 batting average, that's really good. So that means 3 times out of 10 they hit the ball. 3 out of 10 is really good. That's like, oh my God, yes. Wow. So that means 7 times out of 10 the greatest hitters aren't getting hits.
Wow.
Now if you take that over to basketball and say, oh yeah, they make 3 out of 10 free throws or 3-pointers, that's not in the NBA.
Right.
That's not going to cut it at all.
Right.
So so I guess I was used to, or I just kind of grew up playing a game where, very few victories are like really good. And so with acting, I feel, I guess I feel judged. I guess it is being judged, really. I haven't thought of it like, oh my God, I'm judged. Sometimes I'm bummed, like, oh, are they gonna call me back? Or like, oh, I did so good. But there's always another project, and there's always another one. And the way that I think of it is just that as long as I want to act, like, there will be something for me to act in. As long as I keep going. Now, I don't know how I'm going to find it, and I don't know when the next role is going to be, but I know that as long as I desire to do it, and I keep up my skills, and I keep going, I will hit one.
Right.
So now suddenly an audition isn't, oh, am I going to get in? Am I going to get in? Instead it's, no, I want to act, and so I'm going to be in something. So is this the one? And if it's not, cool, then it's the next one. So I just saved a lot of time by, I showed up, we meet, and maybe the next one isn't necessarily with somebody else. It is the next one with them, just not this one with them. So you cannot get called back or get the role, and it's still, they'll still remember you. And that goes the opposite too. If you totally blow it, they'll remember you. Right. Don't call Richard back. Save yourself 5 minutes.
Right.
But in thinking about it that way, it is much more positive, and it leaves me feeling. I always have hunger when it's like, oh no, my next role exists. Just where is it?
Okay.
And then when it comes, it's great, awesome, payday, and then on to the next one, and then so when I don't get a part, to me it's just that wasn't my part.
Got it.
And that's okay. Like, there's plenty of parts for everybody. There's so much material out. There's constantly. I mean, there's more than 24 hours of material being created every day.
Okay.
If you think about all the awesome, like, web series, like all the streaming services, all the podcasts, all the theater, there's so much being generated all the time that there's no way I'm not going to do it again, unless I don't want to.
Right. No, that's good that's a good way of looking at it. Because sometimes you think, well, I get it, it's going to be another week or month before, who knows, whatever. You kind of get down on yourself.
Sure.
But it's out of your control. There's some things you just can't control.
Right.
I mean, you make sure you keep your game tight, you stay sharp, and you're ready to go at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
I was driving the other day, and I seen something that said a writer's workshop. And my roommate that I had in the past, he used to go to these writers' workshops. And I guess you give your script to like 6 or 7 people, read it, and then they come back the next week and they highlight and they ask you, why is this character doing this? And
right.
What are your thoughts about the writers' workshop?
To be very careful about where you are going and who the people are. Writers' workshops can be totally wonderful, and they could also be pretty detrimental. I honestly feel like writing is probably the most vulnerable art form, I'd say. Yeah, I feel more vulnerable sitting hearing something I've written out loud in front of people than being on stage or watching me on film. However self-conscious I am about how I look or how I sound or whatever, I'm even more self-conscious when it's like, oh, I wrote that. So it's very vulnerable. So it's important to take a lot of care with your work as a writer. So be selective about who's hosting the workshop, what kind of work they've done, where they trained. That's a good indication of kind of how they jive. And the other people too. You got to take. Is this a group workshop where anybody can give feedback on anybody's work, or is it just the instructor who's giving me feedback?
Right.
And so they're both positive. Just be clear on the difference. There are. When I was in school, I took a couple of writing classes, and the way that we gave feedback in that environment, which I take to this day, is you don't say, I liked this, or I liked that, or didn't like this, or didn't like that, but rather you just kind of pick a moment in the script, or the story, the moment when this happened made me feel like da 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 da. And then so as the writer, I can hear that and go, oh, okay, cool. And I can know if that was my intention with the writing or not. And if everybody agrees, oh yeah, it made me feel like that too. then I can go, oh, okay, cool. Like I hit something unexpected, awesome, or ooh, that's not the story I want to tell. So now that's an indication to me to adjust that. And they didn't say, oh, I like that, didn't like that. You should do this. It'd be better if it was like that. Those kind of words are just signals in my mind to just kind of swipe away the comment. I'm sure they mean well. Unless it's somebody very, very close to you that knows your work, is a mentor to you perhaps, that's like cultivating you as an artist. Then, you know, if they don't like something, listen a bit more. But if it's at a random workshop, you know, or a random person at a workshop, you don't know where they come from or what their aesthetic is.
Right.
So it's important to kind of just have that buffer. And you can ask for the kind of feedback you want too, oftentimes. Like, okay, I'm just curious about where to take this character, or if it feels like the story's closed. I feel like I'm speaking generally because I don't have a story in my mind right now, but these kinds of questions, I'd say know what you want out of the workshop before going. As a rule of thumb, okay, I'm taking this workshop, be clear about what I want. I want to hear other people's work. I want to see if my script is ready to pitch. I want to see if my story appeals to this demographic. Know what you want out of it. And then get it. And then those are the kind of questions you can ask, often before you even do the reading. Okay, here's my script. You know, I've been working on it for 3 months. I'm curious to see everyone's take on whether or not the ending feels resolved. Because I don't want this to be a series, I want this to be a film, so I want it to be wrapped nicely in a bow. So if you could please listen for that, I would like feedback back on that. Yeah, so I'd say that. Be very clear about what you want, and be very clear about who's giving you the feedback or who you're asking the questions to.
Okay. I seen something that came up on my Facebook feed, and it said beers and pitching, or beers and pitch. Anyway, what they're saying is like, come have a beer and pitch your ideas to people.
Yeah.
Like a happy hour kind of thing.
Right.
And at first I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But it's not my industry, so I'm kind of like, I know people take their writing and their craft very seriously. And I know sometimes when you booze it up, things might get a little unprofessional.
Sure.
So, what are your thoughts about that? I mean,
yeah, I'd say be very clear about, you know, understand how you are with a beer.
Yeah.
You know, some people are fine with having a beer. Other people, they get loose. Like, honestly, when I don't drink all that much, but when I do, the first thing that happens to me is my speech slurs. Like, I lose my consonants.
Right.
And even if I feel fine, I can totally like touch my nose and do the alphabet backwards and stand on one foot and all of that.
Right.
Like, I don't feel drunk or buzzed, but the first thing is I just notice that.
Okay.
So for me, maybe I don't want to drink before going to a pitch, even if I feel fine. On the other side, especially for somebody who's new to pitching, that can calm nerves. And and think of it as sort of a practice run, or like a scrimmage, like to use a sports analogy. So it's like, okay, cool, this is a casual environment. I'm gonna practice pitching and just hone in on how to pitch. Maybe meet some new collaborators. And so I wouldn't, if I were to go to beer and pitch, I wouldn't assume that at all that I'm gonna get a show picked up tonight. To me, it's like, okay, let me see how I can kind of tweak out my pitch.
How many minutes, like they say, the elevator pitch? You meet in the elevator, you want to, pitch your business idea or your creative idea, whatever it may be. They say you're supposed to light a match. By the time the match goes to your finger, you should be done with your pitch.
Yeah, and make sure they're cheap matches.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or a candle, a really thick candle. What's a time frame? Let's say you're on a lot, you just got done doing whatever, a callback, whatever.
Sure. And
you're walking off the lot, and you happen to bump into someone that you know is a decision maker.
Right.
maybe you're walking to the parking lot together, or whatever the case may be, because you parked in a certain area, what have you. How much time you think, I mean, on average, it should be a pitch last? 3-4 minutes tops? I mean, you don't give away the whole story, but you just got to say, so, what are you working on? And you just say, oh yeah, I just happen to be working on.
Right. If they did ask that, yeah, I'd say 1 sentence, 2 tops,
Wow.
and say, would you be interested in setting up a meeting to continue with this?
Okay.
If I honestly were to see somebody that's a decision maker, do I know them already or not? Let's say not.
Okay.
I would probably not pitch right away.
Right.
Or walk into the car. I keep it very casual, very as you would a stranger in the airport. You're sitting next to it, something happens. Oh yeah, what about that thing? And then you kind of make an acquaintance out of a stranger. I would treat it like that, and not acknowledge that I know them. I would just assume that they know I know them, and just keep it very like, oh hey, how's it going? Da da da. And then and if I feel like the vibes are good and it's subtle, maybe I would just say, hey, sorry, just shot in the dark. 2 guys. Da, 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 da. Would you be interested in hearing a meeting about that?
Okay.
Can you direct me to your receptionist or someone I can seek out to, or how best can I get a pitch with you? And they'll probably tell you. That's honestly probably better even than pitching. Just to say, hey, I have an idea. I'm da da da. What's the best way to arrange a pitch with you? Because that's respecting that dude. They're just trying to walk to the car,
right,
or walk to lunch, whatever. And that also sets you up at a much more professional level. Because everybody moves and they think, oh, I'm just going to say the 1 sentence. And I mean, even I fell for it. I started to say that. I'd say actually just ask how.
Okay.
How to do the pitch. Yeah, and the thing about pitches, we got to pitch at the film festival. The director and I are writing a series based on the characters of our film. So like what happens next. And so we got to pitch this pilot in this season. And it was very interesting. There's a definite skill set and way to do a pitch. The part of the script of the story that to us was kind of just a background detail and isn't really what we want to tell with these characters was the most interesting thing to them.
Oh, wow.
And so we started the pitch talking about, okay, so, it's about the characters are kind of going through this thing in these different ways, and this is how they build, and then a side detail had to do with music. And as soon as that came up, they were like, oh, okay, so it's like this, da 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 da. And it was, but it didn't really matter like that.
Right.
It would be, to us, it was like if we set up this 3-course meal, and they go, oh, and you're starting us off with a gougere, like the bread, instead of, a baguette or whatever. Like, that was the thing.
Right.
And to us, we were like, oh yeah, you're gonna have some bread, yeah, but just wait, don't fill up on the bread. But that was what they wanted. That was the most interesting to them. That was what they found most marketable. Because often when you're dealing with producers or showrunners or networks, they're thinking about viewers and ratings and all of those things. So they, they kind of are coming from a more business perspective than artistic. Or rather, I'd say the really good ones kind of find an art in the business side of things. So that kind of, for me, circles back to this beer and pitch thing. At an event like that, I would learn, oh, people like this little detail about the gougere. So now I know when it matters, I'm going to start them off with some gougere.
Right.
So an event like that would be a nice practice round. Just to kind of get it.
So the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it.
Yes, of course. You hone in. You can get the time down. You learn what's extra, what people aren't really responding to, and what people are, and then just stick with that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Have you ever had and I'm gonna touch on the professor side a little bit, and I'm thinking about a student, Aaliyah, which rest in peace, Aaliyah. She was at Juilliard while she had like a #1 hit for a while. Like she was just on the charts, but she was still going to school. Like had on glasses and what have you. Do you think because she was at a Juilliard, or have you ever come across a student that was still able to be in the entertainment industry, acting, theater, what have you, and still come to class? Have you ever come across anything like that in your field? I mean, music, I'm sure it happens all the time,
right?
Because it's music per se.
Yeah. Well, for performance, for acting, most MFA programs have a very strict rule that you cannot work professionally while you're in school.
Oh.
No, like regardless of
where
what you've done or what you have cooking, while you are in school, this is all you're doing.
Okay.
And some institutions are so strict that they'll kick you out if you are working professionally.
Yeah.
They want you to focus on being here in school and do this program.
Mm-hmm.
Which honestly, I couldn't imagine working professionally while I was at CalArts. Even for a commercial, something that doesn't require a whole lot of extra in the way that a classical play would.
Mm-hmm.
You're in school for 12 to 14 hours, 6 days a week. Like that's all you're doing. So I don't know how anyone would have time to do that anyway.
So aside, I guess for me, there was a show I watched on Netflix called Last Chance U, and it was about a small little community college where when you mess up in an Ivy League school, you go back there to kind of get it back together. You get in trouble with grades, the law, like this, and like the Bad News Bears.
Okay.
The field was made out of dirt. I mean, it was horrible. But they fought back and they kept winning, and with winning comes the town start supporting them, start getting funding, and not have a show, and but they were underdog. People used to hire the school to practice on them. That's how bad they were.
Oh wow.
So when I look at no matter what the school is and what they're known for, I always wonder if it's the financial aspect of the school that makes the kids hold the kids more accountable, or is it something that's inside that they got some pride, that they got something to prove? So that's always been I've never quite sure how to.
Yeah, I think I'd say it starts with having something to prove, because even if you get into a place that's well funded, you still feel like, oh, I need to prove that I am good enough to be here.
Right.
On one end, and then also, I did get in here, so I'm gonna just take full advantage of this opportunity. And then even being at a school that's not funded, if there's that drive, I think you still can succeed. I mean, where I went to undergrad, it was a very fine program and I had great teachers, but it wasn't a school that, I don't think theater is the main draw to that university. There are other departments in the sciences and different things. So the theater school was very present, but it wasn't like the way you would think about UCLA or USC about, oh, you got to go there for that.
Right.
However, in the time frame that I was there, I'd say plus or minus several years, there were a handful of the students that went on to graduate programs, even PhD programs, going to New York. There was a student, I didn't go to school with him, but he was a series regular on a show that was really popular at the time. So even though that wasn't the, oh my God, money thrown at the theater school, it was fine, but all of these individuals still had that drive and went through. And found a community of people that had a similar drive to them in doing a similar kind of work. Yeah. So it starts with the drive.
So from the inside. I felt that also, but that was just me, and that just for what I do.
Right.
But I wasn't sure with the theater and the acting side of things.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that. I mean, I don't remember honestly if I said this last time or not, but when I was graduating undergrad, I knew I wanted to go to grad school, and I already auditioned and was waiting on letters back.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when I remember back on that time, I didn't have a backup plan. Like if I didn't get into school,
Right.
I honestly that thought never even crossed my mind.
Hmm.
Not that oh I'm so good, like I'm like brilliant, but the opposite. Just no, this is what I'm doing. I had no. If I didn't get in, I honestly don't know what I would have done. I have
Right.
no idea where I would have lived, where I would have worked. Like it didn't compute in my mind. It was very no. I'm going to grad school. Like that's the next thing I'm doing. And so I guess it's very
Wow.
lucky I got in because otherwise.
You've been doing Postmates.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's
well,
all
that-
fun,
that-
but
Yeah.
I mean, even the thought of come to LA and get an agent, that wasn't even in my head. It was like just I was so clear on this is the only thing this is next. This is the only thing on my Netflix queue.
Yeah. Oh wow. That's focused.
So-
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever that means.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm heading to an event, and they got the whole block blocked off. We see it all the time, but this time
Yes.
it's
Even more.
I was a little upset because I have a certain way I get to my events and whatever. They have the whole block blocked off.
Hmm.
And I'm looking at that and people standing there, walkie-talkies, blah, 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 lighting, what have you. And I never know how to cost that. Like, I try to put a number to it the other day. I'm like, how much does it cost to film whatever they're filming? Got the
Mhm.
whole block blocked off.
Right.
Just for, and I was heading out at maybe, 3 something? So let's say they get the permit and it's blocked off from, usually it's like a 6 a.m. to a 5 p.m. Usually they
Mhm.
have a work day. They got the trailers, the trucks, the guy.
Yes.
I mean, God knows.
Mm-hmm.
How much money is that? Ballpark.
I mean, well, there's a lot of factors. It depends, but there.
I mean, it's a simple
I can
commercial.
say this,
Just
yeah.
a ballpark.
Yeah,
If
I
you
mean,
had to throw a number out there.
I don't know that I could do that. I feel like I'm not brave enough to throw a number, but I can throw some jobs that are part of this day, and you all can fill in some blanks about
Okay.
what some of these day rates are. So I'll start with someone that's doing background. So background work and extra. If they are non-union, they're not in the SAG union, they will get, I think it's right now $107 for the day. Maybe it's $114. Okay, so however many extras you have, assume that. And then if they're in the union, if they're SAG, they get more. When you block off a street, you have to have, so you have all of the trucks you rented.
Mm-hmm.
You paid the city to use that street.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have to have a certain number of police officers, real police officers, LAPD,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
to be there at certain spots, and they're police officers. It's a skilled position. They have a badge. You have to have a certain number in the area. You have to have a medic, at least.
Mm-hmm.
You might have to have fire readiness, a fire crew ready, depending on what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You have the director, you have the AD, the second AD, you have the DP, the gaffer, all of the actors, you have the location itself,
Mm-hmm.
the lights, the sound, the camera, the lenses, the walkie-talkies. There's somebody whose job it is to run around and change batteries with the walkie-talkies of the crew members. And that's their whole job. Is they're charging all of these walkie batteries, and someone says, "Hey Richard, I need the battery. I'm over here." And so I go and I swap out, and that's my whole day.
Wow.
Like a 12-hour
Battery
day,
gopher.
like that's my job. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm a PA and I'm on batteries. So it gets, and then you have the caterer,
Right. Craft services.
craft services and catering. So you have the snacks, water, coffee all day. and then the caterer, the meals. And usually you'll have a breakfast and a lunch. And if it's going super long, they'll have a second meal. So I don't have a number, but
I'm gonna throw a number out there. I'm gonna say 140,000
for a day.
Yep. With everything you said, and it got to be minimum 100K, easily 100K.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time you pay the city, I knew someone that was gonna film in front of someone's house in the driveway, kind of in the city, and he spent $2,000, and I think he was gonna be there from 11 to 3. It was a really short time.
Right.
And I was like, you spent how much for what?
Yes.
So, if they're blocking off the whole street in LA.
Right.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because I see it all the time and I don't really think about it.
Right.
But I had you on here last time and I'm like, I'm going to ask Richard about this and see what, ballpark.
Yeah, it's something I'd love to see. I forget what it's called. So you have the call
itemized
sheet. Yeah, but there's a sheet and it's on set. It's always there and it tells you the list of everyone there.
Yeah.
And their rates.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so it's on the set, and I know kind of near where it goes, but I can't tell you because these are the things you're not supposed to say.
Right.
But I would like to get a peek at one for a show and see, because what I want to calculate, as mostly as an instructor, as a teacher, is how much does a take cost? Not the day, but one take. And if I could have a dollar amount for a take, I would think that would be very inspiring to the students to kind of get a sense of, oh, it's important that I do my work, so that when I do book a job, after all the callbacks and on the not callbacks, I finally get a job. I get on set, they do the costume, the hair, the makeup, and I go, the lights are all set, and they say action, I have to deliver.
Right.
I can't mess up on stupid stuff because it's this however many dollars per take.
Right.
So be ready.
Yeah.
So that they don't need to stop for you. If they need to retake it because they want to change the lighting or change lenses, or that's fine. I'm here all day. I'm ready to do it. But it's not going to be held up for me.
Right.
Because that's expensive.
Very.
And so I think that if I could figure out that number, or just an average per take cost, I would just love to just use that.
I know I was watching something, and this baseball player is giving people second chance. Well, he's helping them with their finances. And he was talking to one of the girls from Baywatch, and she said she was making $40,000 every
week,
every 4 days.
Yeah.
Some crazy number.
Yeah,
So
I think the SAG minimum. I haven't looked it up in a while, but it's something like, for a lead actor in a recurring series, it starts at like $25,000 an episode.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. And that's for, before you have a name and a career and a following, because it can go up.
Right.
Up. Like Ellen Pompeo with Grey's Anatomy right now, she's at, I don't know, however many million. Like a lot of millions. She's, I think, the highest paid right now. I want to say it's 20 million or something. Like,
wow.
So it can go, so it's a big...
So if you're riding the bench, it's 25, just riding the bench.
Well, it's not riding the bench.
A no-name person.
Meaning no name, first shot is a lead on a show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it may have shifted since then. I haven't gone online, but you can look all this stuff up.
Yeah. So last time we were here, we also talked about the hottest cities to shoot in. And while you were gone, Tyler Perry opened up his studios.
Yes.
That flooded social media like crazy. I mean, I was shocked to know how huge it was. He dedicated stages to different actors.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts when you saw that? I'm sure you saw it, whether on your way from Mexico or during a flight back or what have you.
Right. No, I thought it was very exciting, honestly. Atlanta's somewhere that's been kind of on my radar for a while now. I sometimes think about going there just for performance more than anything. you know, when I think about directing and filmmaking, I have a nice network here in Los Angeles to make
Right.
independent film.
Right.
But as an actor, I feel like, oh, maybe I want to go to Atlanta for a couple of years and just build up some credits. So yeah, very exciting stuff. And the stages are huge. It looks like. I mean, I didn't go, but just the new stages are so big. One of the newer lots here is Manhattan Beach Studios, and those sound stages, I say, are almost 2 or 3 times as big as some of the older ones on Warner Brothers or Paramount, or just huge. You know, so a lot of shows on some of the older lots, they'll have 2 or 3 of the sound stages that they use just for one show. And then so over there, you can literally have a whole world just in one stage.
Wow.
And you know, and it's pretty tight. Manhattan Beach, like, you're on the west side, so I
Yeah.
can only imagine
The cost to make that.
Yeah, well, and I also can only imagine how grand it must be in Atlanta at Tyler Perry Studios.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't really know what real estate's like over there, but yeah.
I thought it was me. I'm like, I can't wait to get you back in the show because I gotta just kind of touch base with that a little bit and see what your thoughts are.
Sorry, I don't have better intel.
No. There's more than enough
stuff.
intel out there. There's more than enough. But yeah, I was just kind of wondering, you know, your take on that. Do actors use Instagram?
Yeah. I think, yeah, sometimes obnoxiously so.
No, the only reason I'm asking because anytime I see Instagram is people doing stupid duck faces or
Yeah.
doing something with their body or doing practical jokes or doing something silly.
Yes.
But I wasn't sure if that can be used to.
Yeah, I think it's used very much. Yeah, by actors. One thing that I see a lot of with actors that don't know any better or they're new is their whole Instagram is just their face.
Right.
So it's just like endless pictures of just them, their face, headshots or maybe in a role. And to me, I mean, I'm not interested in seeing that someone's face over and over and over and over and over. I'm interested in seeing, okay, so what are you doing? Like, what are you interested in? Different things. There is a woman named Heidi Dean, Heididean, Heidi Dean. She is outstanding with social media, and she, I think, I don't want to missay her job title, but if you look her up, you can find a lot of really cool tips on how to have a very interesting social media presence, one that will promote and kind of help build your career without becoming monotonous or boring or whatever. To keep it interesting, to keep people engaged with you, to build followers. So I think if someone's interested in that, she's a resource to definitely check out.
Heidi Dean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
If you had to, okay, so I normally do a speed round, but this is what I want to do. This speed round is going to happen. You're in the LA Convention Center.
Okay.
And it's, you know, all these companies that produce movies, films, what have you. So you're just walking around and everyone has a name tag. And then the name tag has the name of the company. And what I want you to think about is not only what are you going to say to them, or you're just going to just sneak by them and not talk to them. So when I say the name of the company, and I give you an example right now.
Okay.
I'm going to say Warner Brothers. Steve from Warner Brothers.
Yes.
Right? When you see Steve walking towards you, and it says Warner Brothers, you got a decision to make. What do you say to him? Or do you just, swipe left is when you don't want to talk to someone? Or do you swipe left? So I'm going to give you certain organizations.
Okay.
And you tell me, yes, I want to talk to him. I'm going to say XYZ. Or you're going to swipe left and like hide behind the curtain or the booth or whatever. So remember, you're in a convention center.
Okay.
You know, it's a media frenzy.
Right.
You can make some good contacts, whatever. So here we go.
Oh, man.
Apple TV.
Apple TV. To Apple TV, I would want to strike up a conversation around studio, like shooting spaces, like where they're shooting. But I think they're building a studio here. Maybe not. I may have misheard that. But I think that's next because they're just starting their own streaming service. So I would be very curious to see kind of what the trajectory is for them and how they would kind of go for, because Apple is so forward thinking as a company, and we do have Hulu and Netflix and all of these things. So I'd be very curious about.
Well, I know they're building something in Texas.
Oh, okay.
So I know they're literally starting in Texas for sure. I have a friend out there, and she was gonna buy a house. She bought a house because they already bought the land. And she said the housing is just going crazy because they know that Apple's going to be there and it's just going to be a mayhem.
Wow.
So, okay.
So that feels like this is an equivalent of like a celebrity saying, "Oh, I'm going to eat here tonight, maybe." Like when LeBron James did the thing with the pizza, with the
yes,
in Culver City.
Yes. Blaze Pizza.
Yeah. He just goes, "Oh, what's happening?" And like for blocks.
Right.
So Apple goes, "Oh, maybe like let's go here," and everybody floods.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So Apple, you will start a conversation with them.
Yes, definitely.
HBO.
I would love to talk to HBO. They are so forward thinking, and just throughout the years, they've consistently had outstanding television shows, and they seem to allow a lot of creative freedom with the shows. So as an example, there was a web series on Vimeo called High Maintenance, which I loved. That was based in New York, and it was about a guy that was the weed guy in Brooklyn. And so he rode around on his bike selling weed. And so you would get a glimpse of like people in their apartment or just different New York lives. And for whatever reason, they would need, okay, we got to call the guy. And then so he would come, and it was really funny at first and then quite poignant. And so HBO picked it up. And so on the web series, the episodes were like 5 minutes and then 8 minutes, kind of up to 15, just depending on who the characters were. So HBO picked it up and they made full episodes. And the show certainly evolved and changed, yet it still had the essence of what was great, but with the original web series. So that gave me indication that, while they guided and certainly had their standards and wanted to take it in a certain direction, they allowed the creators to kind of keep the core of what it was about.
Right.
So HBO, I would love to talk to.
Wow. All right. So right before we wrap this up, what do you notice? What are people casting for these days? What kind of characters or that's out there right now that you hear and see that there's a constant look that they're calling for that you've noticed?
Honestly, I think it's always everything. It's such a hodgepodge. I think the only response that I have to what I think you're asking is that I'm noticing now that they will have men and women audition for a role. They'll call in male actors and female actors for the same role, depending. So they're kind of leaving it ambiguous in that way. So that's happening more. Other than that, it's there's so much content. Again, there's so much being creative that it's always everything.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was just really curious. Kind of at one point we were going like Marvel was sending out a lot of movies, and then got into the whole Vikings, and everyone was like blonde guy kind of.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And now it's like.
I mean, now there's a lot of retro, like period. So there's a lot of 70s, 80s shows and stuff. So, so we had Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There's the show Glow. There are several new series out. I don't know if they're out yet or not, but they're shooting. So in LA, there's a lot of wanting old, like 80s hair, like or 70s hair. So there's a lot of that happening. But as far as types of people.
Got it.
Yeah, open season.
Well, cool. Welcome back
Thank
to
you.
LA.
Yeah,
It's
it's good to be
so
back.
nice to see you, man. Thank you so much. I've been waiting for this, and I'm like, man, I know he's over there doing this thing. But yeah, I definitely want to. I like keeping in touch with people that's been on this show because all industries change so fast,
Right.
and sometimes we don't have someone telling us how things have changed or how to evolve, and we keep doing the same thing we were doing 5, 10, 12 years ago.
Mm.
And pretty soon you realize you're so far behind the 8 ball that it feels like a mountain to catch up.
Right.
So I always like to revisit people that's been on the show, see how they're doing, and it kind of feeds itself. Because eventually
Right.
I'm going to call you back.
Yes.
So you got to have something new to tell me.
Right.
So that's why I'm so energized when I have people back on the show because like, okay, they're still doing stuff, they're making it happen day in, day out.
Yeah. No, definitely it's great to be back. I'd say like the next few things on the docket for me are I was cast in a production of The Tempest, so that will go up in February.
Okay.
And that's actually going to be on a location, so not just a theater, but at a place called Casa Romantica in San Clemente, so down in North County, San Diego. So I have that coming up. A couple of films that I'm doing in the spring. The last one is pretty much picture locked, and we just got music for it.
Okay.
So that one's almost done with post-production. And what else?
Quick
Yeah.
question. While you're in between projects and you're just used to running, almost like New York speed. I want to get this done. I got
Yes.
this. When you're in that limbo, waiting to start running again,
Yes.
how do you stay calm without blowing the gasket? Because
Yes.
you want to be, producing and acting
Right.
in your trade,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to wait for these other people to get it together or
Right.
to say,
Yes.
to get the ball rolling.
Yes. Yeah. That's definitely the most frustrating for me, and so I try to not wait. So even if with this project, okay, I'm waiting for this person over here, I'll start another project or see what I can do on another one, and just keep building new. So like right now, I'm thinking and working on 2 short films. Well, 3. So 3 short films, 3 feature films,
Mm-hmm.
a TV series, a play, and then 2 other pieces that I want to direct. So, and a lot of these are in pre-production. It's just writing, and some are there's more happening right now than others. But when I get to a place where I'm waiting, I'll just go to one of the other ones and just build that one up.
Okay.
So that I feel like I'm always just doing it.
Yeah.
So that helps. Sometimes I do forget about that, and I'll feel like, no, but like, come on, I really want this one to go. And so when that happens, I just go rock climbing. It's my cure for everything. I just forget everything. I'm just gonna go climb some rocks. Because for me, that just kind of takes away everything. Because all I'm thinking about is that immediate next move.
Right.
So that's my meditation right now.
Wow.
So.
Well, yeah. Thank you so much. I know we might have went a bit long, but I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I want to thank Richard for showing up today. I want to thank all of our viewers, and I've been getting a lot of text messages saying, we love the show, thank you for the content, very inspirational to certain people, which it makes me feel good. My editor, my producer, I can't say thank you enough. But we're just going to keep bringing you guys good content. So this is Al with Let's Get It Podcast, and you guys have a good day.
Cool.
Man, that was good. I like that.